My name is Annecy and welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing a draw with me of this Prince of Mushroom dude, as you can see here. And usually I could take a pretty long time to figure out what I'm going to draw, and I make a lot of mistakes during the sketching process, so I thought it'd be best to do that before actually starting the video. For this one, I'm going to be inking with Micron pens in the size 5 and 8, but this paper is really big and can make the liner look really thin, which isn't really my personal style, so later you will see me go back in and add some weighted lines. Usually inking is something that intimidates me a lot, but I'm trying to go into it with more confidence. I seen my friend inking this drawing that he did so effortlessly, and with this drawing I tried to mimic that, and I think I'm really proud of how it came out. Also, I feel like I say "and" a lot, so I'm so sorry for that. But yeah, he's a prince and his crown is supposed to look like almost like a mushroom silhouette, but not actually a mushroom. And for whatever reason, I felt called to almost give it this like broken line or dotted type of sequence for the crown. I don't know why. You're not really going to be able to tell in the end, but I just thought it was something cool to do during the ink portion of it. I do think it looks really cool though. I don't know why I felt called to draw a prince. Probably because I've been watching a lot of Game of Thrones recently, and there's a lot of royalty in that show. If you watch Game of Thrones, who is your favorite character? I started off really liking Tyrion, and I still do like Tyrion, but now I'm kind of like a Jon Snow is my favorite character. I don't want to be basic, but he's just an overall great character. And I'm sure we all collectively hate Cersei, but with each passing episode, my hatred towards Littlefinger grows deeper and deeper. Here you'll see me inking this little mushroom emblem on his chest. It's almost like a embroidery that I intended for it to be. And also for his eyes, I know I already inked his eyes, but the way I drew his like eyelid and eyelashes, it's unusual to how I normally would draw it. But since he is a prince and he is the Prince of Mushrooms, I wanted it to feel like very fantasy fairy tale-esque, so I did try something new with his eyes. And I know I'm jumping all over the place with this voiceover, but inking and like drawing fingernails, especially if you have like an anime based style, felt so weird to me. And yeah, now we're back to his eyes and I'm adding some detail. They're gonna look a little bit wonky, but I am going to color in the eyelids and some other darker areas. And here I'm just adding a little bit more curls into his hair. I don't know why, I really like the look of short curly hair with a crown. I don't know. I'm just kind of speeding through these mushrooms because they're really repetitive, so you will see a lot of jump cuts coming up here. That's one thing about doing a draw with me. I didn't know how to make it feel like a draw with me. Do I speed it up? Do I do a lot of jump cuts? Because I really do want people to draw along with me and to feel like they are drawing with me. The video was getting really long, so I did end up doing both time-lapse and a whole lot of jump cuts. Now, if you hear a bunch of noise in the background, I do apologize. I live near a main road and there's a lot of cars going back and forth at this time. I don't know when the best time will be for me to record voiceovers, and I don't think any time is going to be convenient for me to just film the video and talk with the video. So I'll put some music in the background to hopefully drown out some of that noise from the cars and whatnot. I have noticed that I am a little behind with this voiceover, but you probably just seen me show those other 2 drawings that I did. That's because usually right after erasing the pencil underneath of the ink, the drawing just looks dull and bad. So I was just like, stick with me, and showed some examples of 2 other watercolor drawings that I did, the only 2 other watercolor drawings that I did, to instill some hope that this will turn out good. I think it turned out decent. I'm really liking it so far during the inking stage now. And I'm just adding that darkness to his eyes that we talked about later. And this part I was thinking about doing off a camera, but just in case anyone else also has that problem with their drawing looking dull and boring and just terrible after you erase the ink underneath, I find that adding weighted lines really helps fix that. It almost makes the drawing look completely new. So I just added some weighted lines like under his chin, on his clothes, and his hair. Just, you can add them anywhere that you see fit. Honestly, go crazy with them. I love drawings with weighted lines. I feel like they look absolutely amazing. At this point on into the drawing, I am feeling great. I'm feeling very confident, and I do think it came out good, but this is probably one of like the best inking sessions that I've done. Like, usually I'm really nervous, and as you can see, I added some more details to his face, and he's looking super cute. He's looking great. And then now we're getting on to the fun part, which is watercolor. I do not know how to watercolor. I only did those 2 other drawings that I have showed you, and that's about it. I'm really new and it's just really experimental, which is fun and kind of what I want for my art. Also, side note, I apologize if you hear any creaking. I'm sitting in my chair, it's very creaky, and I have a hard time sitting still. But yes, back to the watercolor. Here you will see me swatching some of the colors that I want to use. As you can see, the colors that I'm going for are like earth tone colors, reds, yellows, and browns, because he is a mushroom prince, and the type of mushroom I'm going for is like your stereotypical like Mario red and white looking mushroom. And if you see that purple one right there, that's why it's so important to swatch, because on the palette it does not look purple whatsoever, and I could have put that on the paper, and I don't need purple in this drawing at all, and it would have been really bad. So now we're finally getting onto it, and I'm really nervous, but I'm going to start with his skin. I wanted to make him brown. Normally, I do not draw traditionally a lot of brown skinned people because I'm like afraid of the commitment and the possibility of like messing up and it being hard to fix because using darker tones. But you're never gonna learn unless you try, so I was very happy to make him brown skinned. Now I know that he is looking very light, but we're going to go in and add some darker value on top of that. By the end of this, I do think that he is looking like a very nice brown shade of brown, which is what I was going for. I really like that about watercolors, that you can build on top of them and that you can start light first, unlike other types of paints. Watercolors are also just very fun and messy, and that's just what I like. Like, I'm a messy type of artist, my sketchbook isn't cute. And you'll see, like, it looks neat now, but it's going to get very messy later. Another thing that I wish I would have done differently for this video is I wish I had my palette on my right side because I have to keep reaching across to access the paint, and it's making my camera do like this autofocus thing. And with the video being time-lapsed, I'm not sure if that's going to be hard on the eyes to keep seeing my arm reach across for the palette. So although keeping it on my right side might be a little bit uncomfortable for me, especially with my camera and tripod also being on my right side, I think I'm going to give that a try. Now you'll see me adding some blush, or you probably already did see me adding some blush. I really like to flush the skin of my characters, flush the knuckles, flush the cheeks, flush the lips. Just the more blush and flush skin, the better, in my opinion. I just think that it looks super, super cute no matter who you're drawing. Now, as you see, I'm like adding some red on top of his hair, and I started off with that yellow color. Originally, I did want his hair to be red, but I didn't want it to be any of the pigments that I had. And like I said, I don't know anything about watercolor. I was really experimenting and just having fun and just letting my hand do whatever and my mind go wherever. I don't know how I made so many things in this drawing work with my lack of knowledge, but this red that his hair turned out being was exactly what I wanted. I do not know how I knew how to get there. I know absolutely nothing about color theory, but it worked out. And these are my favorite types of drawings where I just am like riding the wave of curiosity and adventure in the drawing, and it just turns out so well. It really sparks my love back for drawing because I was in art block for a really long time, and when I shedded the expectation for perfection and just started drawing without the thought of everything needs to look good, it needs to be perfect, I really started to evolve as an artist faster than I expected. If you go back and look at my last video, was a Draw With Me Meet the Artist video, and then look at this one, the difference is drastic. You will see it is very drastic. Okay, so I am aware that I am falling behind with this voiceover, and now we are inking his blouse. I want to call it a blouse because that just seems more in tune to his time. I'm adding some shading on that, and it's looking really good. It's looking like almost a little leathery, the texture. Maybe not, I don't know. I love the texture that watercolor creates. Only downside is that sometimes the texture can become a lot less apparent when it dries. If you take a look at the hair, there was a lot of texture in there. Take a look at the skin, there was a lot of texture in the skin as well that is no longer there. And unfortunately for his jacket, I think the same thing is going to happen. But yeah, his jacket and his crown are going to be around the same color. I just thought that would be good cohesion. And there's a lot of bleeding. If you see a lot of bleeding, I do fix it later and it does become less apparent, but if you use watercolor, how do you keep that from happening? It bleeding outside of the lines. Watercolor is very wild and free, so I don't really know how I would go about preventing that. Here you're going to see me adding some darkness to its crown, trying to give it some texture and more of like an earthy, dirty, rusty type of look. I'm also then going to go in a little bit later and put some red at the top where like the actual mushroom silhouettes are, so it could look more like a mushroom, I guess. I don't know, do they look like mushrooms? I think they look like mushrooms. If they don't look like mushrooms, I think that the background and everything is enough context to know that they are supposed to be mushrooms. I really like his crown. I like the color choice. I wish it could look a little bit more bronze or golden, but I'm not the best with color theory, and nor am I the best with watercolor. So I think that for what I do know, it came out really, really good. I'm also aware that the voiceover is not perfectly matching what I'm currently doing on screen. Like, I just did the eyes and now I'm doing the mushrooms, but I was still talking about the crown. I'm currently using CyberLink Power Director, whatever it's called, to edit. I purchased the year program to remove the watermark. I can't say it is, I've used it in the past. I can't say it's the best editor. Or maybe it's my computer, but my computer is fairly new. I have a Surface Pro 7 and everything else that I do on it works perfectly fine. But yeah, my preview keeps pausing. If you post YouTube videos of any sort, you will know exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to editing in the preview and it pausing or buffering or lagging. And I know that you can render the preview, but on here it takes absolutely forever. So once this, I canceled my subscription for this, so once that's up, I'm just going to download, I believe my friend said it was called LumaFusion for the iPad. I think it's like, it's cheap and it's a one-time purchase, and he says it works really great. His videos look nice, the quality of them look nice, so I'm going to try that one. I do like some of the songs on Power Director, only some of them. The others, I don't know, my music taste is pretty specific, and what I want for my videos is pretty specific as well, so I'm not really too sure about that. Anyway, I'm painting the mushrooms here. I kind of went in with this orangey color, and then I'm going to go over it with a more red color, cleaning up some of the leaking paint into the white spots with a paper towel. I think that's one really cool thing that you can do with watercolor. While it's still wet, you can essentially erase it with a paper towel, which is really cool. I really like the effect of the orange and red on the mushrooms, and you will see later that they get pretty light, so I'm going to go back in and darken them up. So yeah, I did jump cut around these parts because there are 4 mushrooms, and I felt that it would be very, very repetitive to show myself painting all 4 of them, so I did jump cut. And here is where I'm making it a lot more darker, a lot more red, like that typical Mario mushroom. And can we talk about how did like the red and white come to be everyone's perception of what a mushroom is and what it looks like? Because in real life, I have never seen a polka dot red and white mushroom. I did not ever see I'm gonna call it a ladybug mushroom. I've never seen a ladybug mushroom in real life. All the mushrooms that I've seen in real life, whether it be in the grocery store, outside on the ground, in cooking videos, have been brown. So yeah, I don't know where we got this from. Maybe Mario? I'm really unsure. Now I'm going in with the other 2 mushrooms. This is going to be very, very quick. Apparently I didn't cut this out, but if you look right under this mushroom, there is a tuft of hair that I completely forgot the color. And also by his neck on the right side, there is another tuft of hair that I completely forgot the color. In the end, it will be colored in. I think I go in with color pencil and do it. That's another thing I like to do. I like to go in with color pencil at the end and do it. And for these mushrooms, they're big, so I really wanted them to pop out. You're going to see later that I take a thicker marker and I outline them, and they look 10 times better with the thicker lines on them. And for the stem, obviously the stem is going to be brown, start off light, build up, and you will see I try to add some texture in for the stem later, but for now we're starting off with this really light brown. I think this was like burnt sienna or something. I'm trying to remember. As for my watercolor palette, it's really good. I don't remember what it's called off the top of my head, and I'm too lazy to go and get it to see what it's called, so perhaps I'll put it in the description of this video. And if I'm not lazy on screen, just because editing is a pain in the butt when this preview doesn't work, so maybe I'll put it on screen, maybe I won't, but if not, I will put the palette in the description. I did not buy it, my friend bought it for me, so I don't know what it's called. In fact, nothing in this video that I'm using I bought. The palette my friend bought, the watercolor pen that I'm using my friend got for me, the paper that I'm using was a gift. I don't know from who. I think it might have been a gift from my sister, but I know that I think she got me a different watercolor palette though. Either way, it was a gift. Okay, a bunch of motorcycles just went by, so I had to hold off on the voiceover for a split second. Hopefully they are gone, but we are nearing the end of the drawing since I am now coming in with colored pencils to add some more flesh to his hands and his face, and you'll see his nose and his lips. And then I also come in with the purple as well. I love adding purple over the red for the blush. I do not know why. It just looks good. Try it. And these color pencils, oh my gosh, are they Arteza, I believe they might be called. They are so good. I have some colored pencil drawings that I did in my sketchbook. They are absolutely amazing. Now I got this jelly pen from a little local store, and I'm going to add some highlights to his cheeks, his lips, and you will also see me touch in on that in his hair as well. Now, doing the highlights in his hair like this is something that is very unusual to me. I was honestly just experimenting because I had bought this pen recently, and I swear this is what made the drawing. I'm really happy with how the drawing turned out in the end, and I really think it's because of the highlights in his hair. They look so good, and this is something that I think that I will continue to do as I draw. I do want to get some like better jelly pens though. Like I do want to get like some Posca pens or something. I feel like that would have really helped for the dots, at least like the white spots in the mushrooms where it bled into. That's going to be a future investment that I make, is some Posca pens. Also, I have a bunch of like Ohuhu markers. I think I'm going to do another draw with me later down the line with Ohuhus. They're really fun. The barrel can hurt my hand a little bit, but there's so many things that I want to try out, like the 3 marker challenge would be a really fun thing to do on YouTube, so you can expect to see some stuff like that coming to the channel. Okay, so now you can see I am adding in the thicker lines to the mushrooms. I don't know why I'm doing it in this like weird order instead of just doing the complete mushroom like one at a time. I'm doing it on the dots now too, and you're also going to see a bit later on that I do add them to the prints of mushrooms later on. I add them to his crown, I add them to his perimeter, and it's really going to help bring the drawing to life and make it pop a bit more. And now, like I said, I'm going to start adding these thicker or weighted lines to his crown. I really did want his crown to pop out and probably be one of the focal points of the drawing. I really like how it came out. It's really cute. Perhaps I could have added like some hatching or even some cracks to make it look more worn. And then I'm coloring in his little mushroom embroidery with some color pencils. And we are almost done here. These little voiceover clips are very like sporadic and short. The traffic is just going absolutely crazy right now. So on his embroidery, I used the gel pen to add some emphasis to the little white spots. And now I'm doing what I always do, is go absolutely crazy with all the twinkles. He gets white twinkles on his blouse. He's going to get some black twinkles. There's going to be some red twinkles in the mushrooms. And then there's going to be some orange twinkles. I think in this specific drawing, I may have went a tad bit overboard with the twinkles. So my cat just woke up from his nap in perfect timing because this video is essentially over. After these twinkles, that is going to be the end of it. My lighting situation is still kind of weird. I was only using one of my lighting lamps, but the picture, I'm really proud of the way it came out. I have to say that I do like it. It was different and it was out of my comfort zone. Please let me know what you think, what I can improve on, and what I did really well at. Yeah, I think I'm gonna post this on Instagram as a draw this in your style. I would really love to see how people can take this and make it into something even more extraordinary. But thank you so much for watching. I'm really happy with the way it came out, for it to have just been kind of experimental and fun. But yeah, that's all for now for this video, and I hope everyone has a great day. And this is it with no light, which I think shows the colors just a tad bit better.